guys, today I thought I'd bust out a review for, I almost knocked myself in the face, Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom. So this is one of his newer releases, I do believe, and I was straight on that as soon as I saw it in the shops. I could not wait, but it did take me a few months to actually pick it up and decide to read it. Don't know why, just other books, you know, so many books, so little time. But basically, this is kind of gathering all the tales that all the Peculiars had and kind of were told as morals and information to find other loops and stuff, compiled in a real life book for us fans to read and enjoy. So some of you may have recognised this title for some of its involvement in one of the books in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children trilogy, and yeah, a lot of us were excited that we finally got a physical version. For those of you that are a little bit confused, maybe you haven't read the series but you think this is a pretty book and want to know more about it, it's kind of like, although I haven't seen it or read it or whatever, from what I gather it's kind of like the Quidditch Through the Ages and that sort of stuff. So I guess they have that in the actual Harry Potter world, but now fans have got a real life version that they can read, you know, so it's that kind of book, if you will. To be honest, I think you can watch this review regardless of whether you've read the trilogy or not. Like, it doesn't actually spoil anything in the trilogy, it's just a little bit of a novelty item that was included in those main books but we get to have as fans in real life, you know. I want to quickly start with the publication and everything. Ransom Riggs really went to town to make this look as though it was written by Millard Nullins. It doesn't say so on the front, but if you go to this section, it's got by Millard Nullins, and it's also got his little editor's notes and everything like that, and who this book's for says MN Millard Nullins and all that. And I just think it's so exceptional that he went that extra length to make it feel, you know, a little bit nostalgic in a way, because you heard so much from the main stories and now to have that, it's just, I think it's great. And just generally, this is a beautiful, beautiful book. Like, I think it's absolutely stunning. The gold on a green background is really beautiful, matches my tattoo, I've noticed, and I've told so many people, you're probably sick of hearing that, but I just think it's a really beautiful item to have in your collection, maybe regardless of whether you like the trilogy or not. I love the trilogy overall. I've got reviews on all of the books. If you'd like to watch them, I'll link them down below for you. But onto the main kind of embodiment, I guess, perhaps the wrong word, of the book. So we have here a kind of collection of stories, and I will say I decided not to give them individual ratings just because, I don't know, I didn't feel like this needed that. But in saying that, I have gone ahead and compiled some just general thoughts of what I felt about for the story. I'll go into a bit more detail on my Goodreads review. If you'd like to read that, my Goodreads link is always linked in the description. But I'm just going to kind of glaze over them for the video. So yeah, basically I only kind of disliked one story, and I believe that was the Forked Tongue Princess. It just felt more rushed. There was a little bit of insta love and it didn't feel as, I guess, maybe polished as other stories. And from the general layout of the books, I can tell that Ransom Riggs definitely has, you know, a good decent amount of quality in his short stories. I just feel like he perhaps needs a bit more practice in kind of the timing of it, because he really sets out the plot in the first couple of chapters. I mean, these are only very short stories, like it's a tiny book, and then by the last he realises, oh crap, I need to fit all this in, and then it just feels rushed with all this information and just packed. So I think he needs to learn to space that out a little bit more, but you know, the quality's there, really kind of impressive, you know, and just enjoyable generally, because I enjoyed the main series and it was nice to have this. There were 10, I believe, short stories, and I did have a few favourites. Those were The Girl Who Could Tame Nightmares and The Boy Who Could Hold Back the Sea. I thought they were both like really well fleshed out. Particularly for The Boy Who Could Hold Back the Sea, I would love to learn a little bit more about his character. I wouldn't mind having more stories about them. To be honest, I think it would be a really cool idea to go back to these characters and kind of have individual stories about them, like little novellas perhaps. And I also think it would really be cool to have more volumes of these, like for other peculiar stories and stuff, because I just think it would be really cool to collect, and I think it has a nice added extra, you know, especially if he does decide just to never come back to that world. Pumping out some of these every so often will, you know, keep the spirits high. I did find that the layout in terms of writing was a little bit strange at first. I decided that for my preference I wanted to read this aloud, just because it is a shorter book and I do enjoy reading aloud, but I got quite tongue-tied, and I think it's because the style of writing is not what I'm used to for Ransom Riggs. I feel like he definitely tried to warp his writing skills a little bit to fit the fairy tale theme, time, and I do appreciate that, but I just had to get used to this newer style of writing from an author that I was previously used to, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. But I do like that he went for that style. It was really cool and it kind of helped. But at the same time, some of the stories, you can tell they were kind of way back when set, if that makes sense, but some of the terms and the way they spoke felt a bit too modern, so it's a little bit of a detachment from the style of writing, how some of the characters spoke, and just the general setting of the stories. Overall, I loved how we managed to get a little bit more insight into some of the characters we knew in passing that helped out our main characters in the main series. Just to know a little bit about their background and their actual life was so interesting, and yeah, I really enjoyed this, and overall I gave it 4 stars and I would totally recommend it. Definitely read it, you know, if you've read the series, possibly if you liked it a lot, because I think you're just going to get more out of this. So yeah, I definitely loved this for what it was. It wasn't exceptional, it wasn't terrible, it was enjoyable, and I would recommend it. So thank you very much for watching, and I think I'll leave this video here. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.